Good morning, dear friend. I want to have an honest conversation with you today about something that might surprise you. You know how doctors and nutritionists are always telling us to eat more fruit? Well, there's something important they're not explaining, especially for those of us over 60. Certain fruits, the very ones sitting in your kitchen right now, could be quietly undermining your circulation, weakening your legs, and even accelerating muscle loss. This isn't just about sugar, though that's certainly part of the story. It's about how your body, your wonderful body that has carried you through decades of life, processes certain compounds in these fruits differently now than it did when you were younger. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 fruits that many seniors should reconsider eating, especially if you're not as active as you once were. More importantly, I'll tell you exactly what to eat instead to protect your strength, maintain your stamina, and preserve that precious balance that keeps you independent. Let's dive in together, shall we? Bananas, the misunderstood energy booster. Let's start with bananas, that convenient yellow fruit that seems to be everywhere. You see them in grocery stores, lunch boxes, and gym bags. They're easy to peel, require no preparation whatsoever, and they give you that quick energy boost when you need it. But here's what nobody's telling you. Bananas are what I call contextual fruits. What that means is whether they help you or hurt you depends entirely on your current lifestyle. If you're physically active, if you're regularly walking, lifting things, gardening vigorously, or swimming, then bananas work beautifully as a fast-digesting fuel that your body can put to immediate use. Your muscles are primed and ready for that energy. But if you're over 60 and living a more sedentary life, if your days involve more sitting than moving, then bananas might be silently contributing to problems you didn't even know were connected to your diet. Let me explain what happens when you eat a banana. One medium-sized banana contains about 14 grams of sugar. Yes, it's natural sugar, but your body doesn't really distinguish between natural and added sugar when it enters your bloodstream. When you eat that banana, especially on an empty stomach without any protein or healthy fat to slow things down, your blood sugar rises quickly. This rapid rise triggers a surge of insulin, which is the hormone responsible for clearing sugar from your blood. Once that surge ends, your blood sugar drops, sometimes dramatically. That's when you feel it. The fatigue sets in, your thinking becomes foggy, you might feel irritable, and often you'll crave more sugar to bring your energy back up. This roller coaster might feel like normal aging, but it's actually just unstable blood sugar levels. Now, if you're active, walking 10,000 steps a day, working out, or doing intensive gardening, your muscles are using that sugar as fuel. Your insulin response stays sharp, and your metabolism can handle the spike beautifully. But if your day includes long hours of sitting, minimal movement, or only light housework, that sugar has nowhere useful to go. So your body stores it, primarily around your midsection, which is unfortunately the most dangerous place to accumulate fat because it surrounds your vital organs. Over time, this pattern increases your risk for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. But the problem goes beyond just sugar. There's also a nutrient imbalance to consider. Bananas are famously high in potassium, which helps regulate your heart rhythm, nerve function, and fluid balance. That sounds wonderful until you realize they're quite low in magnesium. Why does this matter? Because potassium and magnesium work as partners in your body. They support muscle function, hydration, and nerve signaling together. When one is high and the other is low, especially in older adults whose magnesium reserves are already depleted from stress, medications, and the natural aging process, you start experiencing symptoms. The most common complaint I hear is muscle cramps. Leg cramps at night that wake you from sleep, toe spasms that come out of nowhere, calf tightness that won't go away. These aren't always random occurrences. They're often signals that your mineral ratios are off balance. And ironically, many seniors double down on bananas to fix the cramps, thinking more potassium will help, when what they actually need is magnesium. The result? The cramps often get worse, not better. So what's the practical takeaway here? Bananas aren't evil. They're simply a tool. And like any tool, they need to be used at the right time, for the right job, by the right person. If you're about to go on a hike, if you're doing resistance exercises, dancing, playing tennis, or doing physical labor, a banana makes perfect sense. Your body is primed to absorb and use that quick energy effectively. But if you're sitting on the couch watching television, snacking on a banana because it's supposedly healthy, you're just spiking your blood sugar without any purpose, and your body will pay the price. If you love bananas and want to keep them in your diet, let me suggest some upgrades. Never eat them alone. Always pair them with protein and healthy fats. Try half a banana with almond butter and a sprinkle of cinnamon. Add banana slices to a smoothie with leafy greens, chia seeds, and collagen protein. Or save them for after physical activity, not as a passive snack. Also, consider limiting frequency. Every day is probably too much for a sedentary lifestyle. Once or twice a week, when your body has truly earned the fuel, is a more realistic rhythm. And, please, if you're experiencing fatigue after breakfast, unexplained weight gain around your stomach, energy crashes mid-morning, or nighttime leg cramps, try tracking your banana consumption. Remove them for 2 weeks and observe what happens. Replace them with lower glycemic fruits like berries or green apples. Focus on eating more magnesium-rich foods like pumpkin seeds, leafy greens, or a small square of dark chocolate. Drink properly mineralized water. Support your body's actual needs, not just its cravings. Grapes, the deceptive little sugar bombs. Now let's talk about grapes. They look so innocent, don't they? Refreshing, bite-sized, a bowl of grapes feels like such a safe, even virtuous snack. Something you reach for instead of candy or chips. For years, you've probably heard they're heart-healthy, full of antioxidants like resveratrol, good for your skin, even protective against disease. But for older adults, especially those not moving much or dealing with sluggish circulation, grapes can quietly become one of the most deceptive triggers of inflammation and metabolic dysfunction in your daily diet. Here's why grapes are almost pure sugar in disguise. That soft skin and juicy inside? It's loaded with glucose and fructose, two forms of sugar that enter your bloodstream rapidly. Just a single handful, about 15 to 20 grapes, can pack over 20 grams of sugar. That's more than what's in a small candy bar. And unlike a candy bar, grapes don't come with a warning label that makes you pause. They don't feel indulgent, they feel natural and healthy. But natural doesn't mean neutral, especially for a senior body that's less efficient at processing sugar. The problem starts with the glucose spike. Grapes hit your bloodstream fast, resulting in a rapid increase in blood sugar. In a younger, more insulin-sensitive body, this spike is quickly managed. But for older adults, especially those dealing with insulin resistance, prediabetes, or reduced pancreatic function, this sugar lingers in the system. It creates a roller coaster of spikes and crashes, flooding your system with insulin one moment, then draining your energy the next. And every time this happens, your body pays a price through increased inflammation, weakened capillary walls, and stress on your vascular system. That's when you start to feel the physical symptoms: swelling in your ankles, puffiness in your fingers, heaviness in your legs by afternoon. These aren't just signs of poor circulation. They're signals of glycemic overload. Your body is struggling to clear sugar from the blood, maintain fluid balance, and preserve vascular tone. Watermelon, summer's sweet deception. Watermelon holds a special place in our hearts, doesn't it? It's summer's favorite fruit, sweet, juicy, and refreshing. It reminds us of family picnics, long afternoons, and childhood laughter. There's something wonderfully nostalgic about slicing into a big wedge of watermelon on a warm day. But here's the hard truth that most people don't want to acknowledge. Watermelon is one of the worst fruits you can snack on regularly if you're over 60 and inactive. Not because it's unnatural, but because your body can no longer afford the blood sugar chaos it creates. Let's examine what watermelon really is. It's about 92% water, and the rest is mostly sugar. There's very little fiber, virtually no fat, and no real protein to slow digestion. That means when you eat it, especially on an empty stomach, or without any other food to balance it, it hits your bloodstream incredibly fast. In scientific terms, watermelon has a high glycemic index, around 72 to 80, depending on ripeness. That's actually higher than white bread. And when you're older, when insulin sensitivity naturally declines and your pancreas isn't as responsive, when blood sugar regulation becomes more fragile, that kind of spike creates what I call a metabolic storm. Your blood sugar shoots up. You might feel a quick rush, maybe even a false sense of energy, but within 30 to 60 minutes, that sugar crashes, leaving you weaker than before. Your hands might feel shaky. Your legs might feel heavier. Your thinking becomes fuzzier. And if this cycle repeats day after day, snack after snack, your blood vessels start to suffer, especially the tiny capillaries in your feet, hands, and brain. Fruit juice, the liquid sugar trap. Now, let me address one of the biggest misconceptions in nutrition. Fruit juice. It's one of the most persistent myths in the grocery store, one that's been sold to us since childhood. The idea that a glass of orange juice with breakfast is healthy. That apple juice is a smart alternative to soda. That grape juice boosts your heart health. The labels make it all sound so good. 100% juice, no added sugar, immune support, packed with vitamin C. It sounds like nourishment. It feels like a responsible choice. But if you're over 60, especially if you're not exercising regularly, drinking juice every day is not only unhelpful, it's quietly damaging your blood vessels, your metabolism, and your ability to stay steady on your feet. Here's the truth no one's telling you. Fruit juice is just concentrated sugar. It doesn't matter if it's organic. It doesn't matter if it's cold-pressed, fresh squeezed, or free of additives. Once you strip the fiber from fruit, once you remove the chewing, the fullness, the slow digestion, what you're left with is liquid sugar that overwhelms your liver, spikes your blood sugar, and accelerates aging. One glass of orange juice, just 8 ounces, contains around 21 to 26 grams of sugar, most of it in the form of fructose. That's equivalent to 5 or 6 teaspoons of sugar in one sitting. But you don't feel like you just had dessert. You feel like you did something good for yourself, because the industry has trained us to see juice as a vitamin delivery system. Dried fruits, the dehydration disaster. Dried fruits seem like such a sensible choice, don't they? They're tiny, sweet, and easy to keep in your purse or pantry. A handful of raisins here, a few dried apricots after dinner, some dates with almonds in the afternoon. Dried fruits have become the healthy candy, the thing people reach for when they're trying to avoid desserts but still want something sweet. But let me be clear. Dried fruit is not a healthy snack for most seniors. In fact, for many, it's a metabolic and hydration disaster hiding behind a health halo. To understand why, you need to look beyond the size and the marketing claims. A raisin is not just a shrunken grape. A date is not just concentrated fruit. Once you dry a fruit, you remove one of its most important components, water. And with that water gone, the sugar inside becomes hyper-concentrated. What was once a juicy bite of balanced nutrition becomes a calorie-dense, sugar-heavy bomb that your body processes more like candy than whole food. Let's look at the actual numbers. A single date contains about 16 grams of sugar, more than a cookie. 1 cup of raisins contains over 85 grams of sugar. That's like drinking 2 cans of soda, but without the liquid to help process it. And because dried fruit is small and doesn't trigger fullness signals, people eat it by the handful. Canned fruit in syrup, the hidden saboteur. At first glance, canned fruit feels like a harmless convenience. A tin of peaches, a cup of pears, slices of pineapple soaking in sweet golden syrup. You tell yourself it's still fruit, and, after all, fruit is healthy, right? It's not cake, it's not a donut, it's not candy. But here's the unspoken truth most seniors never hear until it's too late. Once fruit is canned in syrup, it stops being food and becomes a metabolic threat. It's not just less healthy, it's dangerous in disguise. And if you're over 60, struggling with circulation, energy dips, leg swelling, or tingling in your feet, this supposed health food might be one of the culprits pulling you down. Let's be crystal clear. Canned fruit in syrup is not fruit anymore. It's fruit that's been stripped, softened, and soaked in sugar water. The syrup isn't just sweet. It's often made from high-fructose corn syrup, one of the most inflammatory substances in our modern food supply. Overripe mangoes. The sugar concentration problem. Finally, let's discuss overripe mangoes. Now, mangoes can be perfectly healthy when eaten in moderation and paired with healthy fats. But overripe mangoes contain significantly higher sugar and lower fiber content. This combination floods your system, weakens your insulin response, and can leave you feeling dizzy or experiencing that heavy feeling in your legs. Many seniors add mango to smoothies or desserts, completely unaware of how much this practice might be sabotaging their circulation and energy levels. Now that we've discussed what to avoid or limit, let me share what you should be eating to support your health, circulation, and strength after 60. First, embrace berries, especially blueberries and raspberries. These little powerhouses are high in antioxidants but low in sugar. They actively protect your blood vessels while satisfying your sweet tooth safely. Second, enjoy apples with their skin on. The fiber in apple skin helps regulate blood sugar beautifully, and the pectin supports digestive health. Just make sure to eat them raw and whole, not juiced or processed. Third, don't forget about avocados. Yes, they're technically a fruit. They're packed with potassium and healthy fats that support muscle tone and help stabilize blood sugar when eaten with other foods. Other excellent choices include pears with skin, which provide fiber and gentle sweetness, strawberries, which are surprisingly low in sugar, and small portions of citrus fruits like grapefruit or orange segments eaten whole, not juiced. Not all fruit is friendly after 60. Some will spike your sugar, damage your circulation, and silently steal your strength. But knowledge is power, and now you have the information you need to make better choices. Remember, this isn't about completely eliminating all fruit from your diet. It's about being selective, being smart, and listening to your body's signals. If your legs feel heavy, if you're experiencing more swelling, if your energy crashes after eating certain fruits, your body is trying to tell you something important. Walk strong, eat wisely, and remember that every food choice you make is either supporting your independence or challenging it. You deserve to feel energetic, clear-minded, and steady on your feet. Make choices that honor the amazing body that has carried you this far and will continue to serve you well when you treat it with the respect it deserves. Your health is in your hands, and you have the power to make changes that will help you thrive in your golden years. Start today, one small change at a time, and watch how your body responds with renewed energy and vitality.